I do have a good pretty one. So, good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order, 5:34 p.m. This is the February meeting of the Rent Control Board. This meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting was provided to the Home User Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Highland Park Planet on January 21, 2025, and was posted on the borough website at hpborough.com and on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, 221 South Fifth Ave, Highland Park, New Jersey, and has remained continuously posted as required by law. So good evening, Happy New Year. It's been a while. So as I mentioned, I'm going to kick things off because we actually have to elect our chair tonight. I don't know if you saw that on the agenda. But I wanted to also just take this moment to introduce Jake Callahan. He's our assistant administrator and he's still getting his legs under him. So I decided to come as a transition meeting here, but he'll be taking over the staffing of these meetings in the long run. So I just wanted everybody to get a chance, and I thought maybe we could just go around the table for his benefit in case he doesn't know everybody at this point.
I'm HP, Heather Pierce, but HP.
Hi, I'm the council liaison to the Rent Control Board.
Hi, I'm Diane. I think we met.
Yes.
I'm Lucinda.
Jared Bland. Yeah, we.
All right. So with that, I'd like to move to, I wish I flipped the order of these items, but go to approval of the minutes from the September 26th meeting, if you can just off your memory banks.
Motion to approve.
Second.
You want to take track of the motions? Thank you. Can you just do them all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks. Now we're on to board organization. According to our ordinance, we need to establish a chair and a vice chair on an annual basis at our first meeting of the year, which this is. So I'd like to entertain a motion. Would anybody like to move themselves or someone else to be a chair? I nominate HP.
I second that.
HP, will you
I'll accept.
accept
For one more
said
year.
honor? Now Sapna coaching. Okay, all right, so I'm going to take a quick roll call. I'm just going to look at you. I'm not going in alphabetical. Jared? Yes or no?
Yeah, yes.
Lucinda? Diane?
Yes.
And you don't have a vote, HP, you
I'll
vote for
abstain.
yourself or what? Okay. We also need to elect a vice chairperson in the event that our chair can't attend the meeting. Can I entertain our current vice chair is Lucinda, and can I entertain a motion?
I move to appoint Lucinda to the vice chairperson position.
Second.
Okay, great. I'm going to take a roll call. Jared?
Sounds good.
Lucinda?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let her.
You'll agree to this honor?
Okay.
I will abstain.
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
All righty, so we now have that, and I would like to, with that, pass the mantle on to our re-elected chair, HP.
Do we have?
Well, Jake
2000
circulated the meeting schedule to everybody. I don't think it's attached here, but hopefully we've added you to the calendar. So I just wanted to reiterate that's our meeting schedule, and it's, I think,
It's
Still on
the
Thursday.
last
the last,
Thursday
the
of
third
the
or the
month.
fourth Thursday
Yeah,
of the month,
depending on
unless
how
we have a
it
holiday or something.
falls, right.
So we already noticed those meetings. I just wanted to remind everybody to hold those dates. We will likely cancel a bunch if we don't have a pending matter like we have in the past, but I just want you to keep those dates on your calendar till you hear otherwise.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the 2025 meeting schedule.
I move to approve the 2025 meeting schedule.
You get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 2025 meeting schedule is approved. All right, next on the agenda, we have the resolution. Since this was sent out by Sedna, I think I'm going to yield the floor to you to explain whatever rationale you wanted for these, and then I think we'll move to entertain any motions we want to amend this document before we accept it.
Basically, it was, if you want to explain, but it was,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, it was Sapna's advice that especially for that action, which is kind of one of our core actions that we, even though we voted on it before the end of the year, and we've already been running with the new annual increase publicly and so forth, that we, at the next available meeting,
Oh,
certify.
this is certification. of the rent
Certification of
increase.
what you've already discussed, and so it's just 3.55%.
Oh, this is the resolution
is
form of
from-
this. Sorry, I was
yeah.
moving
Oh,
ahead already.
That's why I was wondering why you said.
I
So
was
it's the
so
first
moving
time
ahead.
we're doing a resolution like that, so that's why I thought you might have been asking. So essentially, that's certification of your decision from last year
It's already been-
on the 3.55% increase. This is just now tying it up with a ribbon.
And just noting, we don't actually have any discretion over the rate at this point, right? Because it's,
We've
in-
already been.
it's in the ordinance, it's
yeah,
already been approved.
We've
So
already approved
this
it,
is a formality.
so but we do need to move and second and all that stuff.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to certify the annual rent increase for 2025.
I move to certify.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, do we want to do a roll call for this one, I think?
Probably.
All right, are you recording roll calls?
Yeah.
Can you roll call us?
It's just.
Okay. Oh, this is a good test.
He's just, he doesn't have a cheat sheet in front of him right now.
All right, Jared.
Aye.
Lucinda, Diane,
Aye.
HP, aye.
The clerk does that for the council.
The council,
meeting.
yes,
For him.
yes.
And it's usually.
You did a great job. Did you get that all recorded? Thank you.
So we did this last.
It was
year, right?
already done.
Mayor and council.
No, you guys have nothing. This
Oh.
board does it.
Yeah, but we, like, last year we did that. So in the future, they would do this and then we would do it?
At the next meeting, we just haven't had a meeting since we did that.
Oh, okay.
And that's,
okay.
that's the only reason the resolution is taking this long.
Oh, got it.
But if we had had a meeting in October, this resolution would have been
Right.
there but it doesn't.
This is just for the board.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. Motion carries. So resolution is passed, resolution 2025-1 on the books.
Thank you.
Unanimous ayes. All right, now moving on to a discussion of possible ordinances. I will yield the floor to Semna to present these changes. I think I would like to yield the floor first to Lucinda. I think we had some concerns over
Yeah.
what was here versus what we had discussed last time.
And
have a
there's
couple
something
questions.
that's come up in the meantime that I want to address as well. There was a tenant who approached me and this is
Yeah.
the person I emailed you about. And he actually sent an email, so I have what he has to say here. But I think we should take that into consideration for the ordinance.
So that's a new matter.
That's a
that-
new, so we
okay.
can wait till the end if we wanted to.
I think so,
But
as we're
but
discussing.
that's something that I
I'm
do want to
familiar
make
with
sure,
that one.
I just want to
Um,
make sure we discuss it because.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah. Mhm.
So.
But I prefer. we
Yeah, yeah,
focus on
yeah,
what we're
yeah. That's a new
raised.
thing, but
Yeah.
so, but there are other ordinances that deal with the same issue and I found.
Okay,
you know,
well,
how they do
I
it.
just,
So we
I'm
can
not
discuss.
saying no, I think it'd be fair to everybody else to.
Sure.
Yeah, so a couple of things is I know that we had discussed a number of points and things that we wanted to look into. I sent you guys a confidential memo that is confidential attorney-client. And we're not going to talk about that, but it's for you to review and to digest. I am available to speak to each one of you one-on-one if you have any additional questions. The second thing also too, and I think this is something we need to be mindful of, is that the rent leveling board is here, not only, like, currently we're trying to do some changes to the ordinance, but also it serves to hear applications that have come through, whether it's hardship or capital. Sometimes, unfortunately, with rent leveling board, people also feel that it might be a source for landlord tenant questions. And I think that we have to figure it out of how we're going to field a lot of those questions, because at the same token, the governing body is not supposed to be a legal resource. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I wasn't acting as a legal
No,
resource.
no,
so
no,
what I
no,
did
no,
was
no,
I
no, and I'm not
referred him
saying
to
that.
Terry.
No, I'm
So
not
I
saying
referred
that,
him
but
to
I'm just
Terry.
saying that I know that I'm new to you guys. And and in my experience, a lot of times the rent leveling board has sometimes been used as a resource for that. And it's sort of like a conflict of interest. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if the same board's going to listen to an application later on, if it ends up being that way, you don't want to be in a situation where you become a witness in your own case. Is that fair? Yeah,
So my referring him to Terry
was perfect.
Okay.
Was perfect. And I think that on an ongoing basis, I think it's important that we can gauge that as a borough to say, hey, this is a landlord tenant question, and these are the links that you can go to get proper advice on what to do. And not be in a situation where each of the board members get involved with somebody who may be filing an application later on. And that's something we want to be mindful of, because I know that none of the board members want to be in a situation where the attorney calls you to the stand and to testify, right? So we want to be just kind of careful of that. So, because questions will come up. And, people are saying, well, okay, there's an opening here, but it's the governing bodies to listen to applications. Almost like you guys have, it's a statutory board, you kind of have to look at you guys almost as a quasi zoning planning board, but it's for rent leveling. Does that help a little bit?
Sure, that wasn't my concern that I had. My concern was that a lot of the changes that we had discussed were not reflected in the document that you sent. So we had a bunch of notes about, for example, what was a reasonable rate of return. We decided, I think most of us discussed that there should not be a government guaranteed profit, right? That's the whole point of capitalism, is that you take a risk and you get a profit if you do well, but to have a government guaranteed one, we didn't think that 2.5% or whatever it was upwards of 2% was fair. And that still somehow made it in this document. And so I want to know what else. I think we've tried to go through and look at this, but I'm concerned that the things that we discussed are not actually reflected in your document. This document seems to reflect your initial proposals, but does not reflect what was discussed by the board members as far as the advice that we would give to the council for considering any changes to the ordinance.
Okay.
Although, can I say that ours was a discussion.
Right.
We didn't
Correct.
land
We didn't
on
vote
it.
on anything,
I didn't, on that.
but none
matter,
of
I
that
didn't-
discussion was reflected here. If you get my, like, none of the sentiments that were expressed by any board members were
I thought
reflected here.
that
It
was
seems
one
to
of the
just
items in
reflect
the
what the
memo.
attorney.
Yes, it
wanted.
was.
Is that, she did address that
yes,
in
I
the
did.
memo to you guys, that was.
Okay, I think we'll still probably motion to amend it though in this, so that we,
Yeah, because it was addressed in the memo.
I mean, we can take your advice and that's
No,
that,
no,
but
no,
we still
I-
want to give ours.
No,
And that's
I heard it. I've heard all the meetings.
Okay,
But what I'm saying to you is that I don't have a problem having a one-on-one discussion, because it's a confidential memo, to have a discussion about it. And then if you decide that's what it is, if you're telling me you read the memo and it's your specific position,
Mhm.
right? Because it's not speaking on behalf of the entire board, I will take all the notes that you have and then.
why didn't that happen before, I guess, is my question. Because there were a lot of things that there seemed to be the board or at least a majority of members of the board expressing sentiment in one direction, and this memo seems to reflect only your position, which others did not take.
Actually, I don't have a position, okay?
I mean,
Excuse me, are you looking at me a certain way to say that you don't believe me?
I'm
or- I
listening
mean,
to you. Go ahead. ma'am.
Okay.
You have the floor.
Number one, my job is to provide legal advice, okay? Second thing is that once I provide you with legal advice, we can continue having a discussion.
Okay.
Okay, there in no way, shape, or form was there any motion that was done that something had to be in basically because I was asked to research it. So if you had a different perception of what happened in that conversation, that's okay. But I don't want to be in a situation where you're telling me that something needed to be in there because you told me to put it in
It
there.
was my understanding that the resolution would reflect the discussions that were had and not just the position that.
No, it was a
initially taken.
discussion. It's a discussion.
It is a discussion.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to
So-
reflect any of
So
that discussion.
again, I had a memo that I sent to you, and I sent it to each one of the members with confidential memo, referring to the comments that you want to put in here and that you want to discuss and get information on. You're telling me right now that regardless of what this situation is here in the memo that I put in, you still want to put them in there. This is the first time I'm hearing it that you want to have it in there. Okay, I'll make the notes.
The first time we've discussed this in two
No, we've
different.
had a discussion, like we said, there was no motion meaning that you want to have that in
All
there.
right, we'll be
passed.
careful to make motions.
It's not a
going
matter of
forward.
careful. I just think it's kind of strange that you're coming into the position saying I need to put it in there when
I'm-
I left
I'm
that
saying-
meeting that way.
I'm not saying you have to put it in there. I'm saying I expected I expected this document to reflect the discussions that were had, and it does not seem to reflect those discussions.
Okay, all right.
It seems to be very, very close to what you had initially proposed.
It was not my initial proposals, okay? I have gone through the different versions of this,
Okay.
Okay, and so.
Then you can put, then you can share with us, I'll yield the floor to you, and
No,
you can
no,
share with
no,
us
no,
what has
no, no,
changed.
no. I want to hear from the board members on what item that you like to, that you had an issue with. I'm gonna make a note of it because we had already gone through all the points on 2 meetings now.
Mhm.
Okay, so just tell me the points where you would like to see where you disagree or not, and I'd like to hear from each member, not just you, HP. Thank you.
Are you suggesting that these last 2 meetings that other members have not participated? I do not, I do not appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I
The
haven't-
chair has the
excuse
floor
me.
now. Excuse
No,
me, the chair has,
excuse me,
excuse me,
excuse
the
me.
chair has the
I
floor.
did not
Excuse me, the chair
appreciate
has the
any of
floor.
your
The
tone
chair
from the
has the
beginning of
floor.
this
The
meeting,
chair has
okay?
the
It
floor.
was very
Chair has the
disrespectful.
floor, ma'am.
It was
The
very
chair has the floor.
disrespectful.
The chair has the floor. At this point, I would like to yield to Lucinda to go over some of the points that I think the board raised last time that we would like to consider for
So
discussion.
we did talk about just and fair return. You had said the memo was confidential, so
Confidential attorney-client privilege cannot be discussed in this
it means that
meeting.
we can't even discuss.
Well,
the
you can discuss it with
discussion.
me one-on-one or in a situation where there's not a quorum of the rent leveling board, and then we can discuss it. That's what I'm saying to you is that no one from the board had called me to discuss any points of this memo. And I'm coming to this meeting and I'm being told that X, Y, and Z was supposed to be in here.
Check something
When I
like
was
that.
told to research all of this, and I spent a lot of time researching for you guys.
Oh, I'm not denying that. you
No,
just-
no, 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 I
denying it.
understand that, but I'm a little struck at how the tone of this meeting's been going. So can you just please tell me the points that you guys disagree with? I'll make a note of it, of what even after you've read the memo, if you want to have discussions about the memo afterwards, I have no problems with that. But just give me the points that you disagree with and what we discussed, because we've gone through a lot of the clauses in the last
Right.
2 meetings.
Well, the challenge for me, at least as relates to this just and fair return piece,
Okay,
is that to discuss it would be to discuss what's in the memo. but we're not
Correct.
allowed to discuss. it.
Correct.
So now we can't discuss it at the board.
So.
no, 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 you can just tell me if you disagree or not, or what you want, you would like to be in here, in the ordinance.
Because it would be great for us to have a conversation about it, but you're saying. we
No,
can't.
but obviously there isn't any discussion because no one called me about the memo. So I
Well,
assumed
I
it was
thought-
acceptable.
Just to be clear, I thought when we got the memo, we were just supposed to review everything and then we'd come here and discuss. I didn't
Okay.
realize
Okay.
that we wouldn't be able to discuss.
You can't discuss the memo.
Yeah, so I
Correct.
didn't
Because,
realize
because
that.
there's points in the memo that expose the borough. Because as the governing body, it's part of the borough.
Well, the things that would be up for discussion are not about the borough necessarily, but for example, when you talked about there being the risk, certain risk for the borough related to this just and fair return clause. And that was something I wanted to
Okay.
discuss.
So we can, I have no problems. You can call me anytime and we can discuss it in more detail. Part of protecting the borough is to make sure that I'm not giving ammunition to individuals who can attack the borough and the people that.
No, and I understand that, Sherelle.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's not
Okay.
true. I get that that's true.
Okay.
It's just that in the memo, you were basically making a case for, there's precedent for this, for that. And so this is what the risk is for the borough. And this is why.
Mhm.
So that was clear. I'm not, that was clear. But it would just be great, but we can't talk about it. So I think that's where I feel a little like
Okay.
stuck that we can't have a
So
conversation.
why don't we do this? Why don't you just tell me the points of, if it's just fair return that you would like an issue with? Is there any other points that you have in the ordinance that you'd like to change?
And we're talking about elimination of provisions along those lines, just to be clear.
We're setting it to 0. I mean, I don't think we should
What
guarantee a
section are
profit
we
to
talking
landlords.
about?
It's
as a
Article
government.
1 under definitions, just and fair return.
I don't think we want
I
to,
did look
but-
at.
I'm sorry, there's 2 people talking at the same time. I know that you have the floor, but I keep hearing something else on the
Sorry, I-
side.
I
No,
started
no,
this
no,
side.
no,
Sorry.
no, no, it's not, it's okay.
It's Article 1
Okay,
under definitions, just and fair return is there.
okay.
And when you look at other ordinances, for example, like Newark, I think they have a rate of return. I think it's set at like 5% there.
Okay.
So 2.5% is lower than what another ordinance has. So
Okay, so it's in your opinion that you would like to strike just and fair return as a definition?
honestly, I'd like to have a conversation about it.
Okay,
but
that's
we're not
fine.
allowed to have
But
a
I'm
conversation.
just gonna make. a
Jared, I
note
have
of
you
it.
next after Stephanie.
I'm just gonna make a note that you liked it removed, okay? Okay, can you tell me about anything else in the ordinance that you'd like to remove?
So related to there being, so students, for example, who, let's say there are three of them, three people in the same situation that someone reached out to me that I didn't send directly to Terry. The issue there is there are people who, let's say, one of the roommates moves out and then the landlord says, okay, now you're under a new agreement. But the students are saying, no, but we've been here this whole time and we're gonna get a new roommate. Why is this not a renewal? Why is this now a new agreement?
Okay,
Which I understand, and, well, 1 second. And I know that there are ordinances that use something called revolving tenancy, such that if there is someone in the unit who's been there this whole time, that's still considered like an existing tenant,
They can't go to market on vacancy in that case.
because it's a revolving tenancy.
we can speak about that offline, because obviously we don't have all the facts. But, you know, this is really a landlord tenant issue, and we can talk about it after the meeting.
But this is, what I'm saying is, this is one case, but there are other cases like that. So it's not, for example, someone could have said to me, when I came to the board and said, oh, someone bought my building, they're trying to raise my rent by 52%. They could have said to me, that's a landlord tenant.
Okay, no, okay, but okay.
So
how
I
about-
feel
okay,
like this is an issue that's relevant.
Okay,
for
so
tenants
how
in
about we
the
speak
town.
about it offline, because it was about a specific person, and I do have the facts because I've seen the email, okay? Why don't we speak about that afterwards, offline?
But what I'm trying to say is, yes, there is a particular person who has a specific situation.
But I
But there
can
are
only
other-
give legal advice to specific situations. I can't give hypothetical.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
not
think we're
asking
asking
you-
for a specific thing. We're asking that to be an
Excuse me,
example of what we're doing.
I'm having a
You don't have the
conversation
floor,
with
she
her.
does. Go ahead.
I'm not asking.
Okay,
you,
if
John.
you're gonna continue being rude about it,
I'm not
okay,
asking about
okay,
the
no,
ordinance.
it's
You're out of
unacceptable, it's
line.
unprofessional.
You're out of line.
You are out of line.
You're out of
You
line.
do not,
Excuse me.
it's not okay to be
You're not speaking to
unprofessional
something that's
me.
germane to the floor.
You know what,
I'm not saying that we need legal
Terry,
advice.
you know what, if I cannot be respected at this meeting, I'm gonna ask, and I'm gonna leave.
I can leave
You join
instead.
the meeting. I mean, this is unbelievable.
I don't think we're
If
having a
you-
fair
if
conversation
you-
here.
if
You
ha-
moved.
If you have if you want to continue personally attacking me, I'm not doing it on camera.
So can we take a breath?
So what
Can
I'm
we do,
saying-
well, my
Please don't
question was,
leave.
can we go into exec?
Please
Because
don't
I don't,
leave.
You cannot, it has not been noticed.
so can we notice
That is-
the
that's
exec?
a good
Basically
question
can't have
for-
discussion on
Not
anything.
tonight,
No, not tonight, but
but
we
to
don't,
talk about
just
that
forget
memo,
it.
is that-
No, because we didn't notice it to the public.
But if
It's
in
on
the, at the
agenda.
next
In the
meeting, we
future.
wanted to do an
In the
executive session.
future,
I
in the
didn't even-
future. But, you know, my whole thing is that this is not okay, this behavior, your tone. Okay, I'm the
This is
attorney
just
for
my
the board.
tone.
No, it's not.
This is how I talk to
No,
everyone.
no, it's not. Okay, it's
Yes, it is.
unprofessional. It's unprofessional.
You're
I mean,
being
I'm-
extremely unprofessional.
Oh, I'm
Adjourn.
being unprofessional.
Everybody, I'm gonna
When the
just
chair
start
has the floor, you interrupt her over and over and over again.
Okay,
All right,
I'm gonna take a step back. I'm gonna call the mayor right now, okay? Because I want to talk to her about this and I'm gonna come back. If you want to take a short recess of this meeting.
Can we take a recess?
No.
I'm gonna leave.
she's not
because
feeling well.
I'm not
Yeah.
feeling well.
Yeah,
All right,
Suzanne.
let's take a 5 minute if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so it's, let's say, well, let's make it an 8 minute because it'll be 6:05.
So if we announce an executive session, we can have one and then actually have discussion about this, because I don't think.
So
We
I,
have to get guidance on that.
yes,
Something
I don't
occurred to
think
me.
you guys are whatever, you don't like what's in your proposed amendments or so. So you're not gonna accept it tonight anyway.
Right.
Well, and just a reminder, Stephanie, this is gonna be a recommendation at the end.
Right,
of
it's
the
a
day.
recommendation.
It's not,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
but they're not happy with the
No, but
recommendation.
can I say something? I just wanted I just want to
let's-
discuss
Let's
these things.
see,
We're not-
let's see how.
We just need to.
Right, I figured. we
We're in a
could-
recess. I don't know
want
what's
in the
appropriate
Hey,
to
guys,
discuss.
guys,
Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah.
I'm listening to everyone and I'm trying to, and I see everybody's side. I think you're right that it wasn't changed. It was just a complete lack of communication. She did give us a memo that discussed why she didn't change it. And it could have been more clear and said, this is why, this is the recommendation.
Or refer to memo
I'm
for
going
why,
to
you know?
Leave it in because of X, Y, and Z. She didn't do that. It's as simple as that. I think I think we just have to take a step back. I think it was just the lack of communication. She did put the work in to tell us why it's still there. She just didn't say, here's what I'm doing. This is why I'm leaving it there. That would have theoretically cleared this up, right?
Was it clear to you, Jared, that we would not be able to discuss this tonight?
That wasn't clear.
That,
I thought we were
again,
gonna come here and have a
You're
conversation.
right.
about it.
That's
what
the
I thought.
second point of lack of communication, which was, hey, guys, I made this, I made these recommendations. Unfortunately, she didn't tell, and maybe I didn't see, I don't recall.
Yeah, I
the
read
e-
this closely.
The cover letter
Okay.
email, though, did the cover letter email to us?
I
say
want to
that she
take a
couldn't
little bit
discuss it?
of responsibility as kind of the intermediary. I didn't know about the company. We don't have a lot of experience as a rent control board, period.
That's right.
And so
Mhm.
let's be real. And in the haste to get everything out, I was like, boom, 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 let's get it done. In my mind, everybody was gonna kind of read this with that next to it.
Yeah.
But I didn't appreciate until I just caught up with her
That we wouldn't
today.
even be able to have a
Well,
conversation.
because of this exposure issue that she's concerned about, so I had realized that myself, I would have maybe suggested, how can we do this? Is it
In-
possible to do an executive session?
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't know to do that, but she's absolutely right, and you know this, you need
Right.
to notify the public if you're
Public,
going
yeah.
to step
So
out. and
that's
talk
why-
about
Because,
things.
and then
But I have to get some guidance,
brings
it's
up-
just never done it before.
I'm trying to, she's taking it personally, and I understand that, and it's
Yeah.
escalating. She brings up one other good point that we should talk about now, just kind of in a relaxed setting. Our role, or at least it's my understanding, is to every year set or figure out guidelines to set the rent control rent increase.
Right.
That's A. And B, it's to, after we get this final ordinance done and drafted, it's to then hear hardship cases or extraordinary cases. I do this for a living every day. Her question, and I'm not, she's completely right. It's a landlord tenant. Okay, I have this all the time. I have apartments here. A tenant, there's 3 students, one wants to move out. Can a landlord just give you a new lease?
Like up it to market, I guess. would be-
well,
It's a
up to
30%
okay,
increase. for
okay.
the students.
Okay, that's a landlord tenant issue. It's not, we're here to discuss, you're right, but it's not, we're not here to interpret landlord tenant laws, right?
Well, we were only asked to make recommendations. Like none of this is like us making
But
these.
that's
laws,
already
right?
set, like he can't, or she, the landlord can't, you can't replace a tenant. If 2 people are there, I think legally you cannot, I think, and don't quote me here because I'm not a lawyer. You can't send a new lease. You can replace that person. They can go on the lease. And I don't think you can increase.
That was not
Increase it.
the opinion that was received, so we
Okay.
haven't talked
Okay,
about that.
however, but that may be the case, and that's my opinion, at least that's my understanding. I could be wrong. But where I'm going with this is, it's a landlord, that's a landlord tenant dispute. That's not in our scope, I guess, is what is this, it's my
It
understanding.
could be
Well,
for a
because-
recommendation though.
but
And
they're
remember,
saying
not all
could be
landlords
on
are as
that
ethical as you are,
But-
Jared.
wait,
Like
wait,
there's
Let's
not.
do it this way. We have to be careful, and I think she was getting that, but I'm not sure where she was going with
Mhm.
this.
We're not adjudicating a
We
particular
don't want to
case.
set a precedent, so, and
we
tell,
do.
like, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Well, let me just
We're
mention
not- we're
one
not
thing
a
to your
judge.
point, and I get a lot of these calls. You got one, but I've gotten many.
Yeah.
And you do get sucked into what you end up realizing, like, this isn't my issue. I just, you get sucked in, you want to help, you want to add clarity.
but
It's
you also
all.
have to be careful,
But
right?
I
You're
think
not
what I
setting
heard,
a
right,
precedent.
but I think what I hear you guys saying is, could we give consideration,
Mhm.
not thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe yes, no, but to some proviso that clarifies that point?
Yeah.
Right, that's, I think she would.
That's
because
what
there's-
I took
All
it
I'm
as.
saying
This is in the rent control board ordinance for New Brunswick.
Right,
So,
so
like, it's
if
something
that
that
was
we could
not something that
consider.
was there before,
Because
was
for
on our
example-
radar,
But
you know.
HP, but where I'm going with
But
this
yeah.
is, and I don't have the answer right here, but it's a black and white issue. Okay, it's somewhere in You can go
But if
through
you think
the
it's
already-
Jersey rent laws
Yeah.
and see exactly where it is, just
Yeah.
Googling it in 10 minutes. And so it's not really, it shouldn't be our issue because
It's something that's
your-
already.
your student that came to you.
Well, it's
in
not that. Maybe
theory,
I
or-
gave
or-
it the
or-
bad
or
advice.
The
Like,
person
I
that came to
wasn't,
you,
you know,
can pretty easily, not even having to call a lawyer, could find it
Do we pause the recording?
in rent law, rent ordinances very quickly.
Well, because
Right.
if they're being told, oh, no,
Break.
because the landlord is saying, oh, okay, so
I think
you
we should
get
do a real
new
break.
lease.
This is,
But-
you know,
And get up.
Yeah.
Stretch.
Google
So,
online, New
everybody,
Jersey rent
Jared,
laws.
I'm feeling uncomfortable that we're getting
replacing
real substantive. and
Yeah,
we're
let's
secondly
take a
on
break.
recess, So we might have to regurge a little.
Tell us about the staples in your head again.
Yeah.
They don't hurt
So-
anymore. They don't hurt as bad coming out.
Does it feel numb, like where you had the?
No, but then like 2 months later, I
Okay.
fell again and I have 4 stitches right here.
Why don't you
It
let-
was such
Oh.
bad 6 months.
Okay, we're gonna come out of recess.
Do we need to put like a
Council member
balloon?
No.
Johan would like to make a recommendation.
Yep.
So I like to make a recommendation, and this speak to the mayor as well, that, like I had mentioned, I think, the ordinance amendments, it was lack of communication, whatever, the board is not, accepting what's here, so I think, maybe we can go on to public comment, and next month, we put this back on the agenda for
executive
executive session.
I
and
think
maybe
that's
that
a
can-
great-
Because we have to be able to talk.
Can
about it.
you-
And if we
How-
have anything else, we can do both. So that's how the executive session, but we'll probably only have this.
So I think we'll need a motion to postpone this particular item then in order to move on.
Sure.
Can we get
Yeah.
that?
So I move that we postpone the review of the possible ordinances.
Until next month.
amendments to the control
Until we can go into executive session. Can we get a
until the March
second?
meeting.
You're the only one left. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Jared, you vote aye. Okay, all right, motion carries. So now we'll move to public comment.
No, the meeting is adjourned.
Nope, we didn't adjourn the meeting. We,
Do you have to do a public comment?
Because we,
If you're adjourning the meeting,
we didn't adjourn the meeting. We
They just
motioned to
said they
postpone.
Postpone that item.
To next month
They
for.
they moved to
exec-
postpone the discussion.
And we have members of the public
I,
here.
yeah, but I spoke to the mayor, she wanted to adjourn the meeting.
Is there anything about this board that isn't confidential?
so did,
Yeah,
but she just
Order.
spoke with the mayor. And that's what.
Okay.
that we're
So
gonna
should we
move
just
it.
make-
Same thing. We're
Well,
still
yeah,
adjourned.
but she said she was gonna adjourn the whole meeting, though, she said to me.
Yeah, so we're moving
public comment.
this to next month. So we're gonna,
Shouldn't we just finish?
Finish out
since
the-
Public comment?
But if you, usually when you adjourn the meeting, you adjourn the whole.
Did you?
We didn't
motion-
adjourn.
they
We
didn't motion
motioned to
adjourn.
postpone. We haven't gotten to adjournment yet. There's been no motion to adjourn.
No, that's usually when that.
So are we cutting off the public comment or not?
I don't, we haven't discussed anything, so I'm not sure what the public will comment on.
There may be.
I mean, there's
comments.
members of the public here. We could ask them in their comments what they would like to comment on. I don't feel comfortable sending members of the public home if they've, are any of you here to make any public comments? At least one? You're the elected officer here.
I'm not the attorney though. I can get sued.
Well, I mean, we haven't, I don't think this is an attorney issue. I think this is a political issue. So we've gotten, we motioned to postpone. So this item is now postponed to next meeting. We've decided to take it to executive session and announce that properly ahead of time so that we're able to discuss this. And that moves us next to public comment before adjournment. So I would like to take public comment.
Just to have people come to the microphone and state their name.
Go ahead. Please state your name. Name and address. Do we want
I
to?
don't know. Do we have to do a name and address?
I name.
Okay, name.
Hi, I'm Erin Kelly. Should read my address. Thanks so much for taking public comment. I have a babysitter, so I'm going to make this quick. I did want to speak to a matter of policy that came up during the discussion, which is I work with a lot of students who rent in Highland Park and have this very concern about revolving tenancy because as the law, as I understand it, the ordinance is written has vacancy decontrol, which means that as soon as there's a new lease, then there's a new rent that's not necessarily subject to the limitations on rent control increase. And the students that I work with, there are a lot of international students, a lot of people working, you know, a lot of hours for very little pay, and any, you know, rent increase really eats at their budget. And I really want to urge the board to consider adopting a more stringent policy when it comes to allowing rents to be reset to market rate. The more we have rent control, the more we can retain these wonderful students and others who add so much to our vibrant community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin. Any others?
Michael Turley, thanks so much, yes, for allowing public comments. I, like hundreds of other renters in Highland Park, I'm a graduate student at Rutgers University. This academic year, we receive a stipend of $37,000 more or less. So to the previous comment, where really the margins are very important for us when it comes to rent and rent increases, to the point of vacancy decontrol in particular, given the short-term nature of our appointments. We find ourselves often in this situation. I'm finding myself in this situation this coming June, of some folks leaving the lease, but not all. There is precedent in the New Brunswick rent control ordinance for where vacancy decontrol is only triggered if all of the tenants leave, do not renew their lease. So I would strongly recommend that we in Highland Park consider this in our rent ordinance as well, given the how high a percentage of our renting population is students, is graduate students in a very similar situation. Thank you.
Any others?
Hi, my name is Kate Stevens. I appreciate the following of correct procedure to not adjourn when an adjournment motion was not made. And I would just like to note, one, again, that there is precedent for this revolving tenancy thing in New Brunswick, which means it is, you know, under a purview that a rent control board could have. I also want to note that in situations where this issue is brought to the attention of a member of the board, that does not necessarily mean that a member is asking for specific help, but perhaps drawing attention to one of the many situations that can happen with renters that they might not personally know about, and in fact simply adds to their information about some things that might be under their purview. No one is an expert in every single thing, and so it is important to hear about others' experiences, such as we have in public comment. And additionally, it is, even if it is already not allowed, one of the things that a rent control board does by adjusting the ordinances is making it clearer what exactly the position of this municipality is, so that people who have limited amounts of time don't have to go digging and hire lawyers to figure out a basic question. That's a huge hardship, to have to hire a lawyer to figure out whether or not something that is illegal in the first place. And being able to write that in clear language on the ordinances also makes it a lot easier to talk to your landlord about that. And I know this comes up a lot when it comes to making sort of exemptions between, you know, oh, there's only 2 apartments in this one or 1 apartment in that one. I think that making exemptions for 1 and 2 apartment buildings is a mistake. A lot of those landlords have multiple buildings, and therefore can still have a control over a dozen or so, right, apartments in the area. And so they still have control over a larger portion of tenancy than, the idea of the mom and pop landlord would suggest. Rules are helpful. Rules make things easier for people to be correct. It does not stop them from being more generous than they already want to be. It simply provides guardrails so that everyone can understand what rules we're playing in.
Thank you, Kate. Any others? What about online?
No
Good.
online today.
Oh, one more.
Real quick. Hi, I'm Jamie Belancha. I just wanted to note real quickly, so some of the current materials that have gone out with regard to tenants' rights, particularly caps on rent increases, they're not really explicit about what the ordinance is. They just sort of have ordinance numbers. That's not particularly helpful for tenants to learn their rights. We can look to some places like North, for instance, for examples of cities that actually require landlords to notify their tenants and certify that they've notified their tenants of their rights. So I would love to see how Park adopt something similar.
Any others? Any online? Any last words? All right. The chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Return the meeting.
The second, third.
You're the only one that is seconded, so, all right, see no objection, motion is, or meeting is adjourned. See you all next month.
We do need to, no, it's still